Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to join the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate Forum, which you should definitely all join. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion right here, right now, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Righteous Force, 10th Man, Paul and Flatzoid in G+. How are you all doing?
Morning.
Good afternoon. Hello.
Hello, hello, hello. And we are also joined by a fair few people in Discord. Hello to everyone in Discord also.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, good morning. Or good afternoon where I am actually, but there we go. Any signs of Earth curvature?
No signs of Earth curvature. Wait, let me just check quickly. Nope, still flat.
No? Red? I thought I saw red in the chat flashing. No? Any signs of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety? Hey, Arwin.
Hello. Almost couldn't
No.
find your link.
Nope.
Hey, Darren, it's flat. Good to have you. Any evidence scientific of gravity?
No, definitely not.
What is gravity?
Absolutely not.
And it was kind of weirded out that Riley yesterday supposedly had found an explanation as to how the bending of space-time actually affects anything. That was kind of weird. I kind of want a citation for that.
Oh, was it talking about how the 4D world manifests itself on our 3D actual world? Was it that?
Yeah, he was actually
right.
going there.
You like that, do you? The 4D world being the conceptual medium of space-time, and how that conceptual medium of space-time is affecting the 3D world. You don't see the problem there, are we?
Yeah, I do. That's why. That's why I want to see a citation for that from
Fair
him.
enough.
Although, you know, what I heard originally, now I'm talking like 20 years ago in school, what they said is that the bending of space-time and this gravity doesn't even really describe what sticks things to balls. But what it does do is that when the supposed gravity is so extreme that, yeah, the bending of space-time is like the black hole effect bending everything away.
Yes.
So it's completely unprovable and
You're
so
talking about-
remote that even if there was an outer space out there, how are you going to scientifically prove that without getting sucked up by a black hole? It's just so insane.
It's not black hole, it's gravitational accretion that you're describing.
Just concepts.
Yeah, it is just a concept, but it's not black hole. You're describing gravitational accretion, not black holes. I'm not having a dig, because who cares? This is all bollocks, right? Who cares what happens in Narnia?
Right, the time alteration from being closer to a high gravity field thing, like in Interstellar.
Oh, time dilation. Well, that's something else in Einsteinian bollocks. Can we move on? This isn't scientific
That was caused by
evidence
the
of gravity.
bending of space-time, right?
God, this
That's
isn't
the
scientific
actual
evidence of
bending.
gravity, is it?
No, it's the bending of something else that they call gravity, and then say that it's really weird what they're doing. They're taking something else saying that causes the bending of space-time, which is gravity. But what does cause that other thing? They don't really answer that technically.
And it's true because they made it up themselves.
Yep.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No. Or the moon.
Come on, there's got to be a fundy in Discord that's capable of parroting some of the nonsense that's being punted by the YouTube priests of heliocentrism. Come on, share your pain.
Anything?
No distance to the sun. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Just yummy marshmallows over
No.
a fire.
No molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth? What about the R value? The presupposition of an Earth radius that's spherical. Any evidence of the R value?
There are
Not
none
from
here.
California.
Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
Nope. I'm still waiting
Not
for a
on Earth.
demonstration.
Plasma. Sorry.
I had plasma. Is that an answer to that question, is it?
Well, they originally said, "Oh, look, you can, oh yeah, put plasma. What is it? And then keep it stuck to a certain region with magnetics opposing a very low gas pressure to keep it stuck." And that was supposedly proof that gas could, press to a ball, but it's actually plasma, not gas. So it's just.
Sounds cool. Can you show us that? Is that something you can show us, though? That sounds ace.
I don't think I've actually got to see that. It was just suggested that that's possible, and like, oh yeah, I saw that once, or it's just.
But let me get it straight. It's not something that's demonstratable. It's just a claim to be violation of the second law of thermodynamics.
Well, they claim that it has been demonstrated. They just can't find any footage of it yet, or they haven't shown it yet.
Oh,
I'm
I see. Oh,
it
well,
might
we live
be
in
out
hope.
there. Maybe if we just Google it.
Maybe we could live in hope.
Yeah, we just need to Google it, guys. That's what they want.
Just need to go and do the research yourself. What's wrong with you? This stuff is out there, man. Just back my claim for me, man. This stuff is out there.
Right.
Well,
Out
it would
there
take
it
care
is.
of all the recycling issues, wouldn't it?
Are you talking to a refuse man? What's going on?
No, I'm saying that if they're claiming some kind of energy or plasma can keep things contained like gases that need a can or a container of some kind now, then we wouldn't have any kind of littering with plastic bottles or cans because they figure out some new technology, right?
No.
No what?
Maybe we'll end up seeing people walking around with plasma containers. That sounds
I don't
practical.
think plasma is very healthy for life.
Well, they got plasma TVs. Come on.
Yeah, but that's in a
Okey-dokey.
container.
It's as healthy as the
Thank you.
water we drink.
I'll take that as a no, that natural law still holds true. Excellent. That concludes the housekeeping.
Aye.
As an extra Brucey bonus question for the fundies who believe in a Coriolis effect, at what speed does Earth rotate underneath a hovering helicopter to generate the necessary deviation claimed to be on a spinning ball Earth? That deviation that the helicopter is going to be deviating is called Coriolis effect. It's the effect of a non-inertial spinning reference frame rotating under something that's left the inertial reference frame. Left into the inertial reference frame. So, given that a helicopter's left the claim to be spinning ball Earth, what speed does Earth rotate underneath that hovering helicopter to generate the Coriolis effect needed and claimed to be there on a spinning ball Earth? I'd like to know the speed in miles per hour that the Earth is rotating underneath a hovering helicopter to give you that Coriolis effect you say is there? Answers on a postcard.
Well, it has to be quite fast if they claim it makes hurricanes.
No, hurricane
Red
wouldn't
herring.
be categorized in this. So the deviation is a apparent, meaning it seems like you can see it. It seems to you, from your perspective, on the non-inertial spinning reference frame, it looks like the helicopter's curving as you rotate underneath. So that would be the deviation. It's not actually curving. The helicopter would be hovering as you rotate away from it underneath, seeing it seem to deviate, even though it's not actually moving, it's hovering. But I'd like to know how fast the spinning Earth that's going to develop this Coriolis effect you claim is there, how fast that spinning ball Earth spins underneath a hovering helicopter. Answers on a postcard. Send them to I'm a brain-dead religious zealot, London W12.
But is it hovering in relation to the rotating Earth, or is it hovering in relation to the stationary air layer? Because if it's hovering in relation to the rotating Earth, then it might be tilted going against that heavy wind stream it's going to be facing higher
But
up.
then you don't get Coriolis. It has to be separate reference frames.
So
It
Alwyn
has to be
saying
moving separate.
maybe there won't be any Coriolis
You
deviation
didn't
as the
catch my double
fundies.
speak, did you?
Sorry, Alwyn, you're claiming maybe there won't be any deviation because on the equator that helicopter's going to tilt and hover to counteract the 1,000 miles an hour spin that would create the deviation we're supposed to see in my question. Earth's supposed to have Coriolis effect, a deviation because you spin underneath, and I want to know how fast we're spinning underneath this hovering helicopter to give us that deviation that's supposed to be there. The proof that Earth is spinning is Coriolis, the deviation, the apparent deflection as we spin underneath bullets and footballs and helicopters and aeroplanes. So given that it's hovering, I'd like to know how fast Earth's spinning underneath that hovering helicopter to give you the absolutely must be there and is claimed to be there Coriolis deviation that we'd see from the ground. That's what I'd like to know. Give it me in miles an hour, thank you fundies. Answers on a postcode to I'm a fuckwit religious fundie who holds a contradiction in their proof of a spinning ball Earth in the form of a Coriolis deviation that isn't there!
You forgot double
So
speaking.
is it hovering in relation to the Earth reference frame or in relation to the air layer reference frame it is in? Which one?
Well, if no one steps up, Nathan, I'll be Johnny Globehead.
Be my guest.
Yeah, that spot's taken. I already did that.
All right, I'm going to do it the way I heard it last week. So,
Good morning, guys.
Yo,
Hi,
Chocolate.
Chocolate.
good morning.
Hey, Chocolate.
Anyway,
So, yeah,
you didn't
Nathan.
catch my double speak at the beginning, apparently, where I said that it's hovering in relation to the air layer that is in lockstep with the Earth. And then I proceeded to ask, so if the Earth is spinning underneath, then it would be tilted in relation to the air layer moving past. So you didn't catch
No,
that,
I got
guess.
it. I'm just going to act Johnny Globehead in character of the people that came on last week.
What?
So, Nathan, what you don't understand is conservation of momentum. We're spinning with the Earth and the atmosphere because we're stuck. Okay, and the deviation of the Coriolis is when there's latitude changes, because at the equator, the Earth is going at 1,038 miles, but as you go further north or south, that speed slows down. So as you move there, that's where the deviation is, in that very next latitude. Come on, Nathan.
So the
It's easy.
deviation you're claiming is the effect that you would observe from the ground. So according to you, the Earth is rotating at different speeds underneath depending on latitude. So if you would move north in an aeroplane, from the ground you see this apparent claim to be there deviation because Earth's spinning underneath at different speeds. Correct, 10th man?
Yes, Johnny Globehead, 10th man is, but we're moving as one. You got to remember that.
No. Moving at different speeds is moving at different speeds, not moving as one. Moving at different speeds underneath the aeroplane to create the deviation. To have a deviation, the Earth will rotate underneath this plane you claim is deviating when travelling north. So according to your version of this rhetoric of a deviation on a spinning ball Earth, the plane will deviate because Earth's spinning at different speeds underneath this plane. So I'd like to know that a helicopter, that it's going to start by hovering and then move north to show the different speeds the Earth rotates underneath. So what speed is the Earth rotating underneath the hovering helicopter before it moves north?
It's the same speed, but the atmosphere is stuck with the Earth, and the change happens when you go north. In this example, the latitude changes, and it's a minute change, and then you're still at that point. And then if you move further north, then you'll notice the Coriolis effect, but then you'll be still at that point. It's not all at once.
We're really beating this into the ground, aren't we?
So the
Well, you
apparent
guys just don't
deviation.
get it.
No, I'm just getting used to the Earth spinning underneath a separate air layer and the air being lockstep with the Earth at the same time. And I'm trying to adapt to that in order to communicate more directly with the ballers, because that's the direction they are obviously going at. So
That wasn't what
Well,
I
it's
was
just like
expecting
when you're in a
Owen to
car,
say.
Nathan.
I was expecting Owen to say either the Earth is rotating underneath the aeroplane, and I'll even put in parentheses at different speeds depending on latitude, or it's not rotating underneath the plane. It's either rotating underneath, giving you a Coriolis effect, or it isn't.
I've been saying that for a week now, and it's not really rubbing off on them.
Can I ask Johnny Globehead a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
On this non-inertial reference frame that this helicopter spinning in, would would the rotation rate be slower at the bottom, closer to the ground, or higher up?
Well, it's not
What's your
noticeable since the
tangent?
atmosphere and the Earth are lockstep. Do you understand what lockstep is?
Do you
It's like in
understand
the
what
car.
Coriolis is?
It's just
Don't
like
make me
when
go
you're in a
ask you,
car
Tech
with.
Dad.
Well, I think I hear chocolate, so let me address this to him. It's like when you're in a car with a accelerating coffee cup. It's right there. It doesn't move.
See, why
But
we
you're
gotta
moving
bring
at
up the
70
coffee
miles
cup,
an
man?
hour.
So if you toss a ball up and down in a moving car, Johnny Globehead 10th man, does the ball return to your hand because they're travelling as one?
Yes.
Well, then there is no deviation.
That's proving my point. We're lockstep. There
Well,
we
then
go.
there's
We
no
got it.
Coriolis deviation. If the ball returns
Well-
to your hand because they're travelling as one reference frame, it's not deviating away from your hand, seeming to curve, even though it's only going up and down. See, if you had a flatbed truck with an open bed and you sat in it with the same ball, when you throw the ball into the inertial reference frame and it leaves the frame of reference and is no longer being carried along with the car, then it seems like it flies away behind you if you're on a motorway. It isn't flying away behind you, it's just staying where it was when you threw it up in the air as you travel away from it. But it seems like it's curved away from you. Well, that curving is Coriolis. You saying that it's the same as a car travelling along and the ball returning to your hand is a claim that there isn't any deviation. No Coriolis
Well,
effect.
actually, I could prove this if you give me a minute.
Prove what? That there isn't a deviation that's supposed to be there on a spinning ball Earth?
Well, if you flat earthers would listen, it's a latitude change that causes it. So yes, if you're going at 70 miles an hour in a straight line on a straight highway, you throw the ball, it's going to return. No deviation. Agreed. But when you make that quick turn to the right, everything moves to the left. So you went into a different latitude. That's the deviation.
No. That's not Coriolis effect.
What is it then?
I don't know. You tell me. This is your claim.
I'm in a different latitude when I make a right turn, so everything starts going to the left, and there's the apparent deviation right there.
Okay, I concede, 10th man. You've done a better job than any fundy. That proves your point. Well done.
Duh. Good.
Is that it? So yeah, to summarise, Coriolis effect is the effect of a projectile leaving a non-inertial spinning reference frame and entering the inertial reference frame, as per a car on a roundabout, driving around in a circle, flatbed truck, you throw the ball in the air, it seems to curve away. What's actually happened is, whatever point it left your hand, it just goes up and down, and eventually drops pretty much below where you threw it up. But you continue to travel away from it. The effect of it seeming to curve away from your hand is the fact that you've continued to go underneath it in a circle. You're the rotating non-inertial reference frame, and the apparent deviation you must observe if the Earth was rotating underneath bullets, underneath balls, and underneath helicopters would be your non-inertial reference frame that you are attached to continuing to rotate underneath the thing that has left that reference frame. Your description of a closed system isn't the Coriolis effect. Leaving the non-inertial reference frame, that's what gives you Coriolis effect. Entering the inertial reference frame, the apparent deviation being the Coriolis effect. The Coriolis force is the non-force that makes the ball curve from your hand. Non-force, not actual force, because the ball doesn't curve from your hand. It seems to curve from your hand because you rotate underneath. So, the helicopter leaves the roundabout and seems to curve away from you because you rotate underneath the helicopter. The helicopter leaves the rotating Earth and seems to deviate at the speed that Earth's rotating. No, it doesn't do that, does it? There's no demonstrable Coriolis effect on Earth. That's not what happens. Things don't deviate. Things don't have the Earth rotating underneath. And if the Earth did rotate underneath, flight times would be shortened when travelling west, because the Earth's rotating underneath. The thing needed to give you that deviation that you seem to see when you're on the ground still rotating, well, the reason that would happen is because Earth's rotating underneath the planes, and if it's rotating underneath the planes, you'd have considerably shortened durations of flights, because the continents would be coming to you when travelling west. So the needed ingredients to have this deviation is Earth rotating underneath things in the second reference frame. That doesn't happen. Helicopters can hover.
Necessary antecedent.
Yeah, a necessary antecedent is Earth rotating underneath. To have Coriolis effect, you have a non-inertial reference frame that's spinning and you leave it. The apparent deviation is you rotating underneath to see it seem to curve away from you. It isn't, it just travels up and down if it's a ball that you've thrown up and down. It just travels from left to right if you've thrown it out away from your rotating reference frame. It's travelling in a straight line to all intents and purposes. You continue to rotate. The rotation of you underneath it is what creates the curved effect. Well, that would be true if Earth was rotating with everything that left the rotating reference frame, at which point Johnny Fundy will come in and say, no, they're attached, which won't give you any opportunity to generate the Coriolis effect because you must leave the non-inertial spinning reference frame. Still being in it, attached to it, isn't going to give you Coriolis effect ever.
Can 10th man go back to being 10th man and answer 10th man Johnny Globhead?
Yeah, go on. The one that you got me on.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember the word that they
here's the
used.
deal.
They describe it with cars that go round and they ask for that non-force. I just couldn't remember the name of it off the top of my head.
So what you're saying, Johnny Globehead, is that when you're in a container that's sealed, the atmosphere is contained or stuck within that container. So are you saying the Earth has a container now? Because if you're gonna understand gas law.
Sorry to rumpus you, right? Yeah, that did slip me by. Yeah, you were arguing open and closed systems. I just didn't spot it at all. Kudos, you had me. Better than most glopeheads.
Yeah. Well, this is the trap I set for them. When they say that, I say, oh, so you are agreeing with a container now. They said, no, I'm not agreeing with a container. I said, well, how do you keep gases that are unbonding to itself, that go in every which way, staying stuck to the Earth as the Earth is rotating without a container? The car example is perfect. You have windows, roof, everything. But the minute you get in a convertible, it doesn't work. So are you telling me that the Earth is a convertible or a closed system? Which is it?
I'll
Does it
answer
have a
you.
roof or
I'll play
windows?
Johnny Globehead. The Earth in the heliocentric system is absolutely an open system. That's why you have George Netanyahu, the batshit crazy senile bastard, saying that a closed thermos is an open system. Because he's insane and doesn't understand open or closed systems or the Coriolis effect.
Yes. Then that's where this argument, as you lead them down this little road, when they use the car example, I say, oh, so you do believe in container now. They see, when you have a
But you
lie
notice
to
every
begin with, you
example
have
they
to.
use is some type of a container. It's always, or if you're in a car, or if you're in a plane, or if you're in a train, it's always some type of a container, some type of closed system. They always use it because that's how it works. It has to work that way. The only time other than that, they say, oh, go outside. That's it.
When we were younger, or when I was younger, I had a 4x4 truck, and we were in the mountains with our friends, and some of them were in the back, and we went four-wheeling, and I didn't realize what I was doing, but through the rearview window, I saw it, and we almost lost a few people. So what happened was I was going at a pretty good speed, and there was a few bumps, and of course we're four-wheeling, so I hit these bumps. Well, sure enough, I look in the rearview mirror to see what would happen to those in the back, because I felt it in the front seat with the seatbelt on. They lifted off the bed of the truck, almost above the side of the truck. And the truck continued to go underneath them. And if it wasn't for the fact that they were right next to the cab, they would have been on the road and I would have gone underneath them. That's reality.
They left the frame of reference. They were no longer attached to the truck. So as the truck continued to move underneath them, with them no longer attached, the apparent effect is that the curving of the path is them bouncing up and away from the truck. They curve away from the truck. No, they've just bounced up in the air and the trucks continue to move underneath them. Precisely. That's what you need to have Coriolis.
I'll never forget it.
Things leaving the reference frame and seeming to curve away, like in that truck example, is what they claim happens on Earth. Oh, Neil deGrasse Tyson tweets out, the ball went through the goalposts because of the deflection caused by Earth rotating underneath that ball. So Earth rotates, moves the goalposts, and the goal is scored. According to Neil deGrasse Tyson, the second reference frame is the ball travelling through the air, and the non-inertial spinning reference frame is the Earth spinning underneath. That's what's claimed to be in effect on the spinning ball Earth reified by fundies. Well, if you believe that's the case, you've got to answer this question. How fast is Earth spinning underneath a hovering helicopter? It isn't, by the way. It's hovering. That's defiance of the law of non-contradiction. Just nicely summarised with a helicopter that's hovering.
And we answer that question every time we're asked, is there any evidence of axial rotation? And the answer is no.
Yeah, Coriolis speaks directly to that housekeeping question, correct. The claims that Earth spins come with an alleged Coriolis effect. Ring laser gyro, Coriolis effect. Foucault pendulum, Coriolis effect. Bullets that deflect, Coriolis effect. This is all Earth rotating under an inertial reference frame. All of them. That's how they claim Earth spinning. With the Coriolis effect. That we don't observe in a hovering helicopter. That we don't observe in a plane with Earth rotating underneath it, shortening the duration of flight time. We simply don't observe any deflection of anything leaving a non-inertial spinning reference frame because we're not spinning. There is no demonstration of any observable Coriolis effect. If there was, we'd have shortened flight times. Simple as. We don't, And when we get into the argument with fundies, all they do is argue for why we don't observe the effect that's supposed to be there on their spinning ball Earth. Earth and atmosphere travelling as one? No deviation then. No, that's just a justification for the reality we observe, and the reality we observe doesn't have a Coriolis effect because we're not spinning.
Well, I think one of your greatest comebacks you use on this is how gas behaves, and how could gas be stuck when its pure essence is it doesn't stick, it bounces.
Right, it's unbonded, free to move in all directions, untethered to anything. Not tethered to itself, not tethered to the ground, free to move in all directions. So this horse shit that it's travelling as one, giving you a defiance of the Coriolis effect, giving you no effect, giving you no deviation because they're travelling as one reference frame when Coriolis requires two, leaving the non-inertial reference frame, not travelling with it, leaving it. That's what you need, fundies. You need a hovering helicopter to have the Earth rotating underneath, and you're never going to have it. It's a violation of the law of non-contradiction. The Earth isn't rotating under hovering helicopters. Pissing in your face, fundies. No Coriolis deviation. No spinning ball Earth.
Why do cars have windshields?
Stop the wind.
Oh, no, I thought it was stuck to the earth and we're moving as one.
Yeah, shield you from the wind.
So what happened to conservation of momentum?
I don't know where you're going with this, but carry on.
Well, if a helicopter goes up at the equator and the Earth is rotating 1,038 miles west to east, and the atmosphere is stuck to the Earth, and I don't notice a difference, why do I need a windshield?
Because you might travel at 100 miles an hour through the wind.
So then the wind is not stuck to the Earth, as they say?
No, your example's malformed. Sorry, I would just stop
Has
digging this
nothing
hole.
to do with it.
Yeah, stop digging this hole. Honestly.
Well, my question is, they're saying you go up and you're moving as one with the Earth.
Man,
Well,
let them dig their own holes,
hang
which
on,
they do very proficiently.
He's been poisoned by his
Earth
own.
momentum
Hang
could.
on. Hang
Hold
on,
on.
you guys
I
jump
think
too
I know where
early.
you're
No,
going.
everyone stop
Conservation of
rumpusing in.
momentum
Look,
could
if 10th
defy-
man wants to dig this hole deeper, you let him.
Thank you. I'm arguing your points of north-south, east winds.
What?
So
And a
what do I
jolly-
need a windshield for?
Let's just
Not our
humour him.
point.
Just humour him. And a jolly good job you've done too, 10th man. Kudos to you.
I got to argue myself as 10th man and Johnny Globhead 10th man here.
Poisoning you, man. Just don't let Johnny Globehead take over.
Oh, he dies. He died with Coriolis.
Good.
These are just remnants.
Just
The
about
north, south, east winds prove that the Earth is not rotating with the atmosphere west to east, stuck
What's Coriolis?
together.
What's Coriolis?
An
Apparent deviation
deflection
from the
from
non-inertial
two different
spinning reference frames.
Oh, apparent. So not real. Okay, cool.
No, not
Well, the
real.
deflection is real, all right, but it's not an effect. It's just a visual side effect of what happens when something changes its reference frame. Suddenly moving with
an
a
illusion.
body of air that it has a different velocity in relation to the original reference frame.
Spot on. It's correct.
Like an illusion, like Kosho's citation says.
Yeah, an illusion. Spot on. So in the example given by 10th man, right, if you're watching that truck, yeah, and you happen to be stood by the bump, from where you're standing, the truck comes along and you tilt your head to the left to watch it coming along. And then as the truck reaches the bump, the people in the bed are bounced upwards upon hitting the bump. So you watch them, they're then in line with you, you're looking directly at the bump, 90 degrees to your position. They go up and down. But when they come back down again, there's no longer a truck underneath them. So From their position, they seem like they've come curving out of the truck. But in reality, because it's an illusion that they've curved out of the truck, because they haven't. They've bounced up and down, but the truck's carried on going from underneath them. So yeah, it seems like they've curved out of the back of the truck, when they in reality have just gone up and down, and the truck's gone from under them.
Ah, I know what this is. That's Coriolis from the spin of the Earth, right?
No, it's just the effect of them leaving the reference frame that was moving along the track, the road, with them attached to the bed of the truck. But when it hits the bump, they get thrown up, no longer attached to the moving frame of reference of the truck bed, and suddenly in the air, not moving along with the truck. Well, the fundies argue that, oh, well, it just carries along with the reference frame, so they bounce up and actually curve forwards, like they actually do curve to follow the trajectory of the truck. Completely absurd. Yeah, they just go up and down. There isn't any real curving out of the truck. They're not curving out of the truck. They're going up and down. The truck's coming from beneath them as they go up and down, not attached to it anymore. And likewise, to have a Coriolis effect, you leave the rotating reference frame. When I say, I've got to be careful. John's caught me on this now and he's on the call. The projectile leaves the non-inertial spinning reference frame. And when it leaves the spinning reference frame, like the truck, the reference frame, which is, in 10th Man's example, the truck itself, continues to move underneath. So Earth continues to move underneath. Helicopters, if you've got a deviation, you see it seeming to curve away from you. The helicopter's just hovering, staying static where it is, hovering in midair, not moving, not deviating left or right. It's stationary to all intents and purposes. Yeah, it's in midair, but it's not moving. But you moving underneath on an alleged spinning Earth makes it seem like, or should, make it seem like the helicopter curves away from you. Further and further away as you rotate away from it. Well, no, you're not rotating away from hovering helicopters. That simply does not happen. We do not observe Coriolis deviation on Earth because Earth is not moving. If it was, we would. We'd see it curve away from us. Like us being on the flatbed truck, moving away from the people who bounced out. The helicopters bounced out of our truck if Earth is moving, and it should deviate away from us. But no, it doesn't. There is no deviation. Earth simply isn't spinning. Their claim to be Coriolis effect proof of Earth spinning simply doesn't happen. We're stationary. We're not moving an inch. Ever.
It's all just moving lockstep. Sorry,
That was a
being
smeg
baller
an
here.
inch.
Smeg?
You used to say smeg an inch. We're moving a smeg an inch.
That's Red Dwarf. Don't look at what smegma is. It's pretty repulsive.
Don't bring it up then. Right, so
Well, like you
if
said
the air
on
is just
yesterday's
moving
show,
in lockstep,
where
and
this
that's the
took it-
reason why it's just hovering there.
Then there is
what's
no
the
deviation.
problem?
then there is no deviation. Something necessitated by a spinning ball Earth. They claim there is a deviation called Coriolis effect from the ground as you observe that hovering helicopter. Violation of the law of non-contradiction.
Like you said yesterday, if you paint an X on a roundabout and your drone is sitting on the X on the physical roundabout and the roundabout is turning, it's going to go with the non-inertial reference frame of the roundabout. You power the drone up and you raise it 4 feet, let's say. So it's in the air above the roundabout. If it follows the X on its own, wow, we'd like to see that.
Yeah, in other words, if it follows the X it's taken off from on the rotating roundabout, like the fundies claim the planes and helicopters do, well, then that wouldn't be demonstrating it deviating because it's rotating underneath. I.e., the X is no longer rotating underneath the drone. That won't happen. If they ever tried to demonstrate that you could have a drone track along above the X it's taken off from on a rotating roundabout, they're essentially providing a demonstration that proves beyond any doubt that there is no Coriolis effect. And they claim there is one. They claim you'll see a deviation because it rotates underneath. And their fundy, bullshit, nonsense, senile, old idiots come along and claim there isn't one. Well, we're here to put that straight. They're holding a contradiction. It can't be deviating and tracking along at the same time. That's a violation of the law of non-contradiction.
And you know what flies in their face with that example, Nathan?
Flies?
No, the only way that drone could follow the X is if someone on the side with a control stick was powered flight doing it.
And in which case, if they say, oh, it's overcome by powered flight on Earth, oh, right. So what you're saying is your planes can overcome 1,000 mile an hour Earth spin in the opposite direction, can they, at the equator? No, they can't. Patently absurd.
My point is, you know they're going to come up with powered flight and steering, and I can't wait until they do, because what they're saying is they're stuck with the contradiction, right? So they say, well, the reason that it doesn't work with the airplane is because it's powered flight and steering. Except when you're flying straight from Charlotte to LA on autopilot without steering.
Yeah, it's because then they're arguing against the apparent effect caused by the Earth spinning underneath. So they're talking about an observation of a deviation from the ground, but then they juxtapose that incorrectly with the flight itself, which isn't going to ever observe Coriolis effect because it's in the inertial reference frame. The observation of Coriolis effect comes from the spinning reference frame that the plane has left. So all the plane's got to cope with is the Earth apparently turning underneath it as it travels from Charlotte to LA and arrives an hour and a half later because Earth spun underneath to create the effect that the guy on the ground saw? Well, no. You're claiming the guy on the ground sees this effect, but to have the effect, the Earth would spin underneath the planes. And it obviously doesn't.
If there was a direction difference with how much energy it would consume, then most airplane routes would be with the spin of the Earth. And there would be much less the other way. Because at some point it'll become more efficient to just go around the Earth back instead of just putting in all that extra fuel to push it against the wind.
Can I give a couple of shout-outs? I'm going to do a couple of obscure shout-outs. Shout-out to Bob Nodal and Quantum Eraser. But for the fact that Quantum Eraser explained a non-adherence to the scientific method that uses the Coriolis effect as a positive claim on the globe side, I and everybody else on this panel would not be in the position to concisely unpack the doublespeak of Coriolis. So, in essence, Bob incorrectly identified a non-scientific evidence, which I addressed. Cost me a lot of subscribers. Subscribe today, I'm almost at 15k. Anyway, that particular that happening led to, as a consequence, us addressing that the claim to be proof of Earth spinning underneath the ring laser gyro used by the FE core team was a utilization of a bunk claim, Coriolis effect, 2 reference frames. So upon unpacking it, I was being given information by Quantum Eraser on how to make it more simplistic and use Foucault pendulum to describe how it swings back and forth in a straight line as Earth rotates underneath. The effect of the Coriolis being brought forth by the Earth rotating underneath. So that cemented this unpacking, that the causes of the Coriolis effect, which you'll observe from the ground as a deviation, people bouncing out of flatbed trucks and seeming to curve when they just go up and down, that's the apparent deviation you should observe from the ground if you have the necessary cause of that effect, Earth rotating underneath that separate reference frame, in the gyro, in the aeroplane, in the bullet, in the ball, in anything in the inertial reference frame. So this consistency that I'm now spewing at nausea, for those who've been tuned in for the last week, is as a direct result of Bob Nodell and Quantum Eraser. So regardless of the end result and how at the time it seemed incredibly negative towards Bob Nodell, that's an absolute plus in my book. But for the fact that Bob Nodell put that forward, we wouldn't be so concise in our demolition currently of Coriolis effect. Our understanding wouldn't be where it was if it wasn't for that discourse. So kudos to both of them, especially Quantum Eraser, as he's the one who explained the unpacking to me. So thank you very much, gentlemen. Kumbaya, my lord. Kumbaya. No? Anybody?
Back to the molten marshmallow core.
Start singing that for the ballers. Still can't understand this argument.
I'm just glad that we can get into these conversations with the utilizations of their bullshit proof and end up unpacking them amongst ourselves. That's a positive thing, that it only progresses our arguments if we're having this discourse internally rather than with obfuscating fundies.
I think when you use the roundabout to prove real Coriolis, that's where we get thumbs up for being honest. And when we ask them to prove real Coriolis with the Earth rotating, they can't.
Dude, hurricanes and stuff.
No, that's
Yeah, but
actual.
they go both
That's
ways.
actual.
So
That's actual deflection.
You got to know the difference between actual and
Tell
apparent
them.
first.
Tell them that. I've been telling them that. They don't get it.
Okay, so when the people bounce out of the back of the flatbed truck, they're just going up and down. They hit the bump, they go up. The car moves underneath. The truck moves from underneath them, and they come back down again without the truck underneath them anymore. So they've just gone up and down. Now it seems like they're curving away. The deflection described by Coriolis effect is the seeming to curve out of the truck bed, even though they've only actually gone up and down. Well, hurricanes aren't going up and down and seeming to deviate from the ground because we're spinning underneath them. They do actually deviate. They're actually curving. They're not just seeming to curve from the ground because Earth's spinning under them. That's just a total misunderstanding, punted by double-speaking fundamentalist religious zealots who punt their reified model like Neil deGrasse Tyson, who also asserts hurricanes as some sort of claim to be proof of an apparent deviation from the ground. No, Neil deGrasse Tyson, you fundamentally don't understand the apparent deviation of Coriolis effect caused by Earth rotating underneath that ball you tweeted about. Yeah, not apparent in the planes or helicopters. Yeah, double speaker.
what about the toilet flushing direction, Nathan?
Another actual deviation claimed to be demonstrated differences between the hemispheres people reify. No, that's actual deviation. The apparent deviation caused by you remaining on the reference frame as you watch the bog water go down. It's just seeming to curve down the bog, but actually it's you rotating. And no, this is horseshit.
But isn't the rotation of the Earth causing the water to orientate its spin? I never really got how that's supposed to work, by the way, but
Even the fundies on the debating circuit down here at the trench level will call that horseshit. They know it's horseshit because it can't be. You can't square any of those circles. But hopefully, with a little bit of time, they'll realise they're holding a contradiction when they're claiming there should be a Coriolis deviation, and hovering helicopters are hovering, not deviating. You're not spinning away from them on a non-inertial spinning reference frame. Oh, can you hear us, QE? No sound. We haven't had any sound from you so far, by the way. Even if you can't. We had a slight redemption from Chemo, who in essence showed us a little meme of a guy holding a machine gun on a helicopter gunship. And he's saying I forgot the exact words, but he's essentially pointing out that after a conversation with M. Scott Veach, son of an astronaut, the bullets are going to be deflecting with the Earth rotating underneath, but the helicopter isn't. Well, that was quite good.
Right. Yeah, I
That's
wanted to
Spurs.
delve into that. Is it that they claim that bullets are the only things performing this Coriolis because their momentum overcomes the friction of the the lockstep moving air, as it were, and then still have their rotation momentum left? Is that what they're claiming about it?
I think personally, I just
Because
think
it always
the only
confused the
reason
hell out of me.
the only reason I think they even use that as an argument is because somebody somewhere put it in a manual, in some type of military manual, and they thought that this is proof that it's actually happening, so that we have to present this as proof.
Well, maybe. I'm just wondering what that claim is, how it's
'Cause
supposed to be overcoming the lockstep air reference frame. That's part of the Earth reference frame. So I wonder
not,
if it is the momentum that overcomes the
it's not.
stationary air reference frame around the
They're saying the
rotating
bullet's
Earth
more
that makes it
aerodynamic.
supposedly
I've got
deviate
the
and
answer.
perform
I've got the
Coriolis.
answer. They're saying the bullet's more aerodynamics, therefore isn't affected by the air, whereas the helicopter's less aerodynamic and being pushed along by the air that's travelling with the atmosphere. It's the height of
Right, so
double
that
speak.
is it.
Yeah,
That
even
is
though
it.
bullets do generate heat and heat up as they cause friction through the air they're travelling through and absolutely affected by it, apparently anything with a short hang time suddenly isn't affected by friction. So I'd like to know from anybody who punted this bullet not being affected by the air that's pushing along the helicopter bullshit. I'd like to know why. I'd like to know why balls. I wonder if they're as aerodynamic. These footballs that these guys throw. I wonder why they're having the Earth rotate underneath, according to heliocentric priest Neil deGrasse Tyson. But yet bullets, with their super aerodynamic efficiency, they're cutting through the air and being affected by the Earth turning underneath. But yet so are balls. I wonder which is more aerodynamic. You know, ball, helicopter. Maybe balls are that much more aerodynamic than helicopters. But interesting.
And Neil deGrasse was even talking about a football being thrown, right?
Oh God!
Kind of how they're made. He's talking about a field goal kick, which is worse.
Yeah, man.
Not
You know that
aerodynamic in that
professional
way.
football, with professional football, man, you got to get your Coriolis right with those throws. You got to get it right, or it's all over, man.
I guess. Unless the Earth's not spinning, then you don't have to worry about any of that crap.
Yeah, good stuff.
No, but that would be going too far because, look, a ball being thrown is not going to have sufficient momentum speed in order to make the air friction supposedly negligible for a while. So, in that sense,
Well,
that could never work even according to that system.
The actual Cincinnati Bengal game is the ball was being kicked for a field goal. Throwing a pass is different.
Yeah, that's what I.
It's
That's
not
what I
good
meant.
enough.
That's what I
Well,
meant.
let me
It's not
finish.
even being used in the aerodynamic way that it's kind of designed when you throw it. It's being kicked. So that's worse aerodynamically, I would think.
Exactly. So what is important is to go to every football team and look up the head coach of the Coriolis training manual.
Yeah, but no. Why do this? It's obviously not there. But I'm still
That's the point.
figuring out if the heavy momentum of a bullet could theoretically do that. So, for example, if a guy with a gun, with a pretty good, like a sniper rifle, a proper gun, not just some revolver or something, would be on a spinning roundabout, and then it was spinning pretty fast, and he would shoot. Would then the moment the bullet leaving the gun, would it keep its momentum?
You want to see Coriolis with a
No,
gun?
but would it? No, I don't really want to see that. No,
Watch the movie Wanted, where they're throwing bullets with their guns.
Oh, come on.
It's the same shit.
Come on, no way.
There was an actual
You
question.
guys are arguing within the fallacy here. That's why it doesn't make any sense.
No, I'm
I
arguing
can't let
about
that slide.
mechanics.
I can't let that slide.
wanna know it.
Hold on, Owen. No, Wanted just defies all physics. It's not demonstrating Coriolis. It's just bullshit on the highest of levels. You can't.
I'm just wondering.
I just want to get this in. I just want to get this in.
Reference.
Do you want to get this in, Arwin? You can't spin around with a gun, right, and then have it fly around a pillar. That defies all physics.
That was not what I was asking.
That's
I
chocolate.
was just
Blame
wondering
chocolate,
if
man. I'm
the
cutting you
moment
off because of bloody
it's shot-
chocolate. That's chocolate. Blame him.
What happened?
No, you threw it in. You threw in like that somehow is anything to do with Coriolis when the movie, the fiction that is Wanted, with them literally
Because Arwen
like
wants to know
twirling
how
and
it
throwing
affects
bullets
bullets,
are in
but it
curves.
I just
Bollocks.
wanted to know if the heavy momentum of a bullet would overcome air friction, which is a lot. Is partly the cause of actual
Sorry,
Coriolis.
Arwen. Overcome
Deflection.
what? Overcome what now, Arwen?
The air friction.
Air friction. That would be the answer to your question.
What do you mean?
What's air friction? Is it interacting with the air? Rubbing against it, perhaps? They're claiming
Right.
they're claiming that doesn't happen, Arwen. That's why the Earth continues to
No.
rotate underneath it. They're claiming that
I
doesn't
know
happen.
it's a ridiculous claim, but that wasn't my claim. I was just wondering, does the friction become negligible in the face of the actual momentum force of a bullet?
Does
Probably
the what? Does the
temporarily
what?
only.
Does the what? The friction? Does the stop being friction? No, that doesn't happen.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I just say that the force may overcome it so much that it would become almost negligible, perhaps.
No, it's still friction.
I know I'm not saying it's not friction. I'm just saying that the force might make it, that it's almost not going to affect anything. So it would not be subjected to any push of any reference frame.
Just
with
out of
air.
interest, any people who've ever worked with a gun ever, do they need to worry about the wind? Does it just cut?
Yeah.
Does it just cut through that and ignore it completely because of aerodynamics now? I can't get any higher than that.
No, no, but definitely not on the short range. It's not wind is not going to be an issue. But if you're going to be doing long range shots, yeah, of course.
So if you were firing a bullet in a hurricane, you got no issues, right?
Depends on how much range you're going to be firing over.
10 yards.
How far is that in meters?
10 meters.
Right. Well, that
Can I just
you're going to
add
have
a
some.
story?
Yeah, you're going to have some deflection, I guess.
Right,
not.
here we go.
I don't know. I've never actually fired a gun.
Boom. Boom. That'll be the end of that then. Boom.
I've never
Go on.
checked.
Who is it in Discord? Is it Darren?
Man, if I
Yeah,
ever go to the United States, I'm going to be
cool.
testing
Look,
Coriolis.
Look,
so much.
Owen's pissed.
Yeah, mate.
Let it out, Arwen. Go on.
I said if I'm
Right,
ever going to
if
go to the United States, I'm going to be doing so much Coriolis tests with guns. Going to have a huge amount of fun with that.
Arwen wants to feel the warm, soothing lead leave his hand. Anyway, go ahead, Darren. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, right. 22 years ago, I used to be a hot air balloon pilot. And there was one time in Bath, there was zero wind, absolutely zero. We took off, we went to 6,000 feet, and we didn't move a single inch. 1 hour and 20 minutes later, we landed in exactly the same position.
Oh, we've lost you.
Yeah, what did you get?
I got you going up to 6,000 feet and not moving an inch.
Yeah, and basically we landed back in Royal Victoria Park in exactly the same location that we took off from. Surely that proves that there is no Coriolis.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you, first and foremost, to all of today's live debating panel for making this live show possible. If you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. A massive thank you to all of you in the live audience for tuning in, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. I've been Nathan Oakley. Stay tuned if you're watching on the premiering stream, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!